level. This is why. Hey guys, we're back with another video today, and I thought it was the perfect time as, especially in the Southeast, most people's summer ball schedules are about to start, if not starting in a few weeks, and I thought it was a really good idea to talk to parents and players about what their summer strategy should be. Which tournaments do you want to play in? When does the recruiting calendar really heat up? And how do you handle camps? Do you go to the camps in the middle of summer? Like, what are the best camps to get to? We're going to cover all of that right here. Remember, guys, scan the QR code if you're looking for help in the recruiting process. Fill out the form. We'll meet with you and talk about what we do, see if it's the right fit. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications so you know when all of our videos are posted and when our live streams happen. Also, again, retweet this post, like it, comment, help us out. Let us know what you think. Appreciate all the support you guys have put on all these videos recently. Let's get right into it. Okay, so number one in the summer strategy, I hear this a lot, like, hey, is it better to spend the summer, working out, or is it better to go to some tournaments or a lot of tournaments? It's all about which tournaments you're playing in. You gotta play in the big tournaments in your area. Now, you also want to get to some of those national tournaments, right? And for example, like in the Southeast, you got the World Wood Bat. That's one where people come from all over the country. That is one that's very highly attended by coaches. You got the PG Elite in Hoover. A lot of coaches go to that. You have the Prep Baseball National Championships up in Lake Point, right? Those are three examples of tournaments that are really good to get to because there's always coaches there. The tournaments that a lot of people go to that are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, or they're really small tournaments, there's not a lot of coaches there. And the reason is this: they want to go somewhere where there's a cluster of talented players, and those are the bigger tournaments. Now, the reality is, hope you get seen by coaches, right? With how big the tournaments are now, it still has become way harder even to get seen at the big tournaments. But if you're playing at a tournament where there's no coaches, no one's going to see you, right? So we got to get out to a big-time tournament that's in your area, right? There's some big tournaments in the Midwest, the Northeast, on the West Coast, and then I mentioned a few of these national tournaments that are really good to get to. So with your summer schedule, make sure whatever team you're playing on is playing in some of these big tournaments. You don't need to play in all of them, but if none of the big tournaments are on your schedule, that's a problem. And that kind of leads us into our second question that I get all the time, and this has to do with college camps, all right? And what I hear a lot is, Kyle, I'm getting college camp invites for a lot of these camps in the summer. Are they worth going to? What are we supposed to do there? Do we miss a tournament to go to one of these camps? Here's the reality with most of the camps in the summer. Now, obviously, this is dynamic. It could change, but for the last decade or so, these camps in the middle of the summer are generally run by players. They're run by kind of a grad assistant or a director of player development, someone who, again, is involved in the recruiting process, but is not like a key decision maker. And so the camps in the summer, for the most part, are usually not ones you want to go to. Now, for our clients with Elite Sports Advising, we reach out to the coaches at those schools. So sometimes there will be a hitting coach, the recruiting coordinator, or the pitching coach, or the head coach will be there. Then it's worthwhile to get there. If they know who you are and if they're ready for you to get there, they're going to keep eyes on you when you're there. So we help out in that regard, but I would say a vast majority of those camps are not worth going to, and especially not worth skipping a big tournament where there's going to be maybe 40 coaches in the area of where you're at, right? And so like in the WWBA, there's a lot of games going on. There's coaches spread all over the Atlanta area. Way better chance to get seen in a situation like that than at a college camp that's run by players and maybe a grad assistant's running it. Again, you could show out, do really well, and the grad assistant says something about you, but is it going to create the momentum you want in the recruiting process? Probably not. Much better for camps. Go in the fall. right? And this makes total sense. You go to the camps in the fall because now all the coaches are back on campus. They have their fall workouts, their fall practices, inter squads, even some fall, games against outside competition. They're all in the area. They're not all scattered around watching portal guys, watching high school recruits all over the country. They're all on campus. They're going to be at the camp, or at least a few of them. And those just seem to be, again, camps that a lot of times are where decisions are made if they saw you in the summer, or where you can really get a good evaluation because there's multiple decision makers at the camp. So we always recommend, really the best time frame for camps is after the summer's over. Generally, they pop up in September and October. There are some in November. Those are the best ones to get to because you're going to have multiple decision makers at the camp. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is timing of the recruiting calendar. Right now, this is probably the biggest change. And what I mean by recruiting calendar is when are coaches really starting to focus on high school players, right? Before the portal, and even first year of the portal, you didn't see a massive change in how many coaches were out early in the summer. Last year, we saw a massive decrease in the amount of coaches that were out in the month of June. Now, there still will be teams playing in June in regionals, so obviously that has something to do with it. But a lot of schools spend most of the month of June out at the college summer leagues, watching portal guys, trying to get their portal class at least mostly finished up before they move on to focusing on high school players. So the very important thing is that you are playing tournaments in July. I've heard from a lot of guys, well, we got a lot of, and I understand it, guys. But again, this is your career, and if you want to be serious about it, this is advice you need to take seriously. I hear a lot of people say, well, yeah, we have 4 tournaments signed up for in June, and then July we're probably going to, take 2 or 3 weeks off, and we may do 1 tournament. Well, July is the month where the vast majority of coaches will be out and focused on high school players. So if you want to get seen and you're not using our help, you better be playing tournaments in July, and it better be 3 or 4. Right? Because you want to maximize your chances to get seen. It's almost better to have a slower schedule in June if you want to go on a vacation or whatever than to miss July. Because July is when the high school, especially last summer, guys, even at some of the big events, I could not believe how little of coaches there were at big events in June. As soon as July came around, it got back up to kind of normal numbers. Again, the portal's really impacting recruiting, but make sure you're playing in July. July is the month where you will see the most coaches out recruiting. Now, some of you guys may say, well, Kyle, I was out last summer in June and I saw a few yeah, I'm not talking about a few coaches. I'm not talking about, again, what I'm talking about is 2 years ago in June, I saw 10 coaches around every field in the World Wood Bat early, in the World Wood Bat that's in June. I saw 10 coaches around every field, maybe more, especially at East Cobb's complex. There was probably 60 to 70 coaches around all the fields. This past year, it was 3 coaches at each field. It was way different. And again, part of that is they're not recruiting as many high school guys. They're out watching portal guys in the college summer leagues. So just take this information as someone who is out all summer at these tournaments. There was a notable decrease in the amount of coaches that were out recruiting high school players in the month of June. So again, like I said, if you are going to skip or at least take 1 month kind of as a lighter schedule, make it June. Do not make it July. July is the critical month where a lot of coaches are out. Again, taking a lighter schedule in June doesn't mean you're just not going to play. Make sure you're getting your work in, you're taking BP, you're getting bullpens in. You want to go into July in tip-top shape. You don't want to be playing catch-up in a 4-week month and all of a sudden you don't really show out very well because you spent 2 or 3 weeks not really doing anything in June. All right. I hope this helped, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment. But this is kind of the strategy. If I was not working with a recruiting advisor like ourselves, this is what I would be game planning, right? Let's look at some camps that are coming up in the fall. Let's make sure that we're playing in the big tournaments, the ones that coaches are actually going to. And then make sure the tournaments you're playing in, are mostly in the month of July. July is a key to get seen. Thanks for all the support on the videos, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments.